Hi, friends. I've been thinking a lot about somebody who made a big impact in my life, and I wanted to share about her with you. When I was a little kid, my mother used to read to us, and she installed in me a deep love of books and stories, and I always like to hear stories that people had to tell about their own lives. I like to have people tell me stories that they made up, and my mother used to make up stories for different situations. And tell us that. So when I got to first grade, when I was going to really learn how to read, I went into the classroom of a woman named Miss Ishida. And she was just the sweetest lady. She had a little bit of an accent, but she was Japanese. And I immediately fell in love with her because I had been born in Japan. My dad had been stationed there during the Korean War, and I had been born on an Air Force base there. So she was the first person from Japan that I had ever really met, and I was in love with her, fascinated with her. But on top of that, she taught me to read really well, and I was her top student. So she would put, when she wanted to work with the children that were struggling, she would make a reading circle of all the people who were pretty good readers, and she would put me in charge of it. I was 6 years old, and I was in charge of one of the reading circles, calling on kids to let them take turns reading in our reading book. And it made me feel so special, and it made me just love reading all that much more. Well, after first grade, I continued on in that elementary school till I was in sixth grade. Oftentimes, after class, before walking home, I would go down and visit her just to say hi and see how she was doing. And I continued that when I went to junior high. I would sometimes swing by the school and go down to her classroom after class and see how she was doing. She was always in there working and doing stuff. And same thing with high school. I would walk down and visit her every once in a while, probably once every month or two. It wasn't a lot, but I would stay in touch with her. And the thing that was really cute was that it didn't matter how big I got. When I went to visit her, she would always give me little pages to color or notebook, no worksheets to fill out, for math or different things. She would say, "Here, take these with you," and you do that. She was just an amazing woman who loved, loved, loved children. She loved teaching, and she had a huge, huge impact on my life. Well, when I got ready to graduate from high school, I made a special trip to her and I asked her if she would come to my graduation, and she was thrilled, absolutely thrilled, and she was so happy that I had invited her. So on my graduation, my parents picked her up and took her to the school. And the high school I went to, I was living in the Bay Area of San Francisco Bay Area, California at the time. We had a foot bowl, where it was down in the ground, and you would walk down a ramp down to get onto the field, and then there was bleachers on each side of the field. The graduation took place on the football field itself, so that the spectators and stuff sat up in the bleachers and watched. When it was done, when graduation was over, um, the parents and the guests would come down onto the field to visit. And she, of course, came with my parents and my sister to see me and to congratulate me and stuff. And the thing that happened was so interesting because she had been teaching for years and years and years. And I think she was probably close to retirement age. Her hair had gone gray by the time I graduated from high school. She knew more people in my graduating class and guests, siblings. They just clustered around her. It was so fun to see all these kids of different ages and stuff. "Mrs. Sheeta, Mrs. Sheeta, you remember me?" And the thing is, she did. She remembered all of them. She was getting hugs and attention, and it was so wonderful to see the impact that this woman had made on so many people. I thought she was sort of mine. I kind of thought Mrs. Sheeta is my person. But no, she was many people's person. She just made such an impact on so many lives. And then afterwards, my parents threw a big graduation party, and my My high school journalism teacher, I had invited him to the party too. So when we got to back to the house after all of the hullabaloo and stuff, Mrs. Sheeta was sitting in one of the easy chairs, and Mr. Christensen, my journalism teacher, he was about 26 or so. He has only been teaching a couple of years. And he saw her, and I introduced him. I said, Mr. Christensen, this is Mrs. Sheeta. She was my first grade teacher. And he just was mesmerized too. He pulls up a chair and he sits down, and those two were like just chattering away and just deep in conversation. And it was just so fun to see. Um, she did give me a graduation gift. She paid for my books, my first semester of college, which I thought was amazingly generous. She didn't have to do a damn thing for me because of all she had already done. But she gave that gift to me. As I went off to college and started branching out and stretching my wings, I saw less and less of her. And finally came the time when I didn't see or hear from her at all. And I tried looking to see if where she had retired or if she had moved or just to see what had happened to her. And I never was able to find out anything. I'm sure it's been many years since she's passed, obviously. I mean, I'm in my 60s now, but she sure made an impact in my life. And it was absolutely the best thing in the world to see that she made such an impact in so many others' lives. And I will never forget her. I hope that you might have somebody like that who impacted your life, like my Miss Ashita. If I could see her today, I would give her a big hug and thank her again.